The government is committed to addressing the double taxation problem facing projects funded by Japan's overseas development assistance. President William Ruto said matters is in consideration, noting that it poses a threat to the future of the 10 billion order projects in the country. On the same note, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutteres arrived in the country on Wednesday for a two-day visit. While in the country, Gutteres will chair this year's first session of the UN System Chief Executives Board for coordination. The board meets twice a year and brings together leaders from United States agencies, funds program. Here is more.
The UN chief will be holding talks with President William Ruto at the State House. His visit comes in the wake of sustained calls for a ceasefire between the fighting groups in Sudan. More than 500 people have been killed and 10,000 forced to leave their homes within the country or across the borders since the simmering dispute between the armed forces and the RSF erupted into violence on April 15. Gutteres has appealed to the rival generals to stop the fighting. The fighting, he said, has already led to horrendous loss of lives and that any further escalation could be devastating for the country and the other regions. Meanwhile, the government is committed to addressing the double taxation problem facing projects funded by the Japan's Overseas Development Assistance (ODA). President William Ruto said the matter is in consideration, noting that it poses a threat to the future of 10 billion Kenya shillings order projects in the country. He spoke at the State House during a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan, Kishida Fumio.
His Excellency Prime Minister Kishida and I noted the significance of the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Kenya and Japan. In the past 6 decades, the two countries have successfully collaborated on highly impactful undertakings in many sectors. At this critical milestone, we consider the vast scope of current and prospective engagements between Kenya and Japan and accordingly resolved to pursue resolution of outstanding issues in greater detail.
Ruto pointed out that Kenya was one of the biggest beneficiaries of ODA and hopes that the projects will run smoothly. The president praised Japan for its investment in the country's infrastructure and geothermal, commending it for its leadership in the climate agenda. During the talks, the leaders discussed issues of mutual interest, including peace and security in the Horn of Africa. The president praised Japan for its investment in the country's infrastructure and geothermal, commending it for its leadership in the climate agenda. During the talks, the leaders discussed issues of mutual interest, including peace and security in the Horn of Africa. As Japan takes up its capacity as the 2023 chair of G7 and a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, Ruto urged the PM to ensure the international community helps in tackling hostilities in Sudan.
I expressed my grave concern and added how encouraged I am about the initiative by President Ruto offering his mediation in an effort to try to resolve the situation by Africa themselves. As for Japan, I told the President that as the G7 presidency and a member of the UN Security Council, that Japan will make a proactive contribution. And as part of that endeavor, we will dispatch the special envoy for the Horn of Africa to respective countries, and in order to respond to the deteriorating humanitarian situations in Sudan and in neighboring countries, we will promptly consider emergency humanitarian assistance together with the international community, and affirmed that we will coordinate closely with Kenya.
They agreed that Kenya, IGAD, and the African Union must be supported in resolving the dispute.